Greetings, everyone. Sometimes when people hear others talk negatively about relatives or about their parents, they get up into their feelings and they're like, how could you say this or that about your parents? Especially in Jamaica, there are such hypocrites. One of the reasons why they get mad when they hear people talking things about their parents is because they themselves don't have the courage to talk about theirs. And a lot of times they're in denial. So if they constantly tell themselves that my mother or my father love me, it helps them to cope with the grief of not really getting true love. But Jamaica is one of those places. I mean, they're prejudiced in so many ways, but one of the places where people suffer the most is in the household. The things that their parents say to them and their family members say to them, heartbreaking. A lot of trauma begins in the household. So I'm not here trying to protect anybody's feelings. If you have a great family and have had a wonderful relationship with your siblings, bless up yourself. But when people are talking, step aside and allow people to speak so they can heal. You don't have to like it, but you don't have the right to stop them from doing what they need to heal. This year, 2022, is a year of restoration and change for me. And one of the things that I have to do is confront. And the healing have started from behind the scenes, but I have to confront, certain things and certain people in order for me to move on. Because to be honest with you, while I speak on this here and there, I've never confronted people. I just pretty much deal with it, you know, and if anything, passive aggressively. So I don't want to do that anymore because in order for the healing to take place, I have to confront people. I have to look at myself in the mirror and I have to say, this is your experience. This is what you endured. And you know what? It's okay for you to speak on it. Many persons, if they knew they could talk about the things that happened to them, the very painful things you know, that happened to them without being judged, a lot more of these wicked people in the world would have to run away and hide. Instead, we ask people to protect the demons. We ask people to protect the ones who hurt us the most. Why? Why should you protect them and keep their secret? And that's why, there's a certain thing that happened to young girls in Jamaica over the years. And we managed to make them feel ashamed of the thing that happened to them instead of the ones who perpetuate these crime on these people, on these women, on these young girls or young boys. And so I'm giving people the opportunity to come here and air their grievance and talk the truth without judgment. Because you love your mother and your mother love you doesn't mean the other girl who's never experienced that. And we're not talking about parents who don't know how to say I love you and don't know how to hug you. We're not talking about that. We are talking about parents who neglect or abuse their children and then turn around and make the very kids that they neglect and abuse become their, you know, rescuer. Suddenly the person now has this conflict because the parent was not good to you, and everybody who was in the community know that the parent is not good to you. But at the same time, all of a sudden you have these same individuals criticizing someone who goes away and never look back. Sometimes the trauma is so deep for these ones that when they go away, when the creator, when the universe opened the doors of opportunity for them and they fly to Europe or far away from Jamaica and they never want to ever go back and they never want to see any of those people. People have the audacity to judge these ones. So when I tell my story with the intention of saying, listen, don't let anyone blackmail you. Don't let anyone put you in a position where you feel like you have to say you love. You love somebody who have never shown love to you. You love somebody who know how to live their life without you. Ain't nothing wrong with it. You don't have to pretend that these people are loving and caring because someone else who actually had that experience is coming to tell you that your feelings are not valid. They're valid. And if you had talked about it, and if you had accept that what you're saying to yourself about people loving you, that is not true. If you had confront yourself and force yourself to admit the truth of saying, I'm seeking something that is never going to be available and never was. And when you're able to say that, you might cry. My daughter looked at me recently and she clearly said to me, Mom, this was pure wickedness. And this person didn't love you, never did, and never could. And let me tell you something. When all the signs were clear, I used to laugh about it. And I realize now that laughter was me forcing myself not to cry. But when she said it, I had to sit with it and I had to accept it. And I cried and I purged myself. And I get to the point where I'm speaking the truth, nothing but the truth. Everything I share with you, if someone tries to dispute it, I can prove it's facts. I stand to gain nothing from lying. Okay? And I'm telling you, make that phone call if it is possible to your parent. You might not talk to the siblings, but if you have a mother or father alive, talk to them and confront them and tell them what they did to you. Of course, a lot of these parents, they're not going to admit, they'll never admit that they did you wrong. So it's not about them, it's about you. When you confront them and you say, you did this to me, this is how you hurt me, because that's how I started my healing, by saying, do you owe me an apology? And that apology was never going to come, but I feel good within myself to say, I tell you how I feel. And you want to admit it or not, that is your problem. That's pretty much what I'm doing this week. Telling the people how I feel. And of course, people are going to hear and be big mad. But I'm not responsible for them and their hurt feelings, because I carried mine for decades. Many of you that are listening to this video right now, you've carried your hurt for decades. Even the very ones who violate you and hurt you don't even know that you're that hurt. If you were to tell them now, this is how I feel, they would be shocked, because somehow you want to protect them and their feelings. Meanwhile, these ones don't care about you. They don't care about your feelings. Okay? I've been married for 15 years and together with this person for 16 years. And you still have the same blood sister. When I say blood sister, I'm not talking about blood relation. I'm talking about wicked. The movie Blood Sister. Yeah, the same blood sister running off her mouth with my name. And if you ask her what I did to her, she could never tell you one thing that I did except speak the truth about how horrible she was when she lured me to come to Jamaica with stories about my father. Lured me to give up my life here, only to terrorize me while I was there. When I say terrorize me, OMG. And I took it in silence. Yep. That's what I was trained to do. To grunt and to bear. And I'm not doing that anymore. So the aim of this is not to constantly talk about these horrible ones. It is to let you know that you are not alone. But we can't stay in that place. As long as we keep it to ourselves and we don't talk about it. In my case, I'm sharing it with the World Wide Web, fully aware that there are people who are glad that I'm having these experiences. There are others who will listen to the story and say, good for you, you so and so. But then there are going to be people who are going through it too. Not everyone who is going to listen to the story is going to feel empathy for me, but there might be one or two based on the fact that they have gone through it as well, and they were feeling weak. And as someone said, and forgive me, I forget your name, but you say that I'm helping you, I'm giving you the strength. Sometimes that's all people want, someone to tell their story, to give them some strength. Sometimes you have to decide if you confront these ones, because some people, if you confront them, this thing could go way less left. It's gonna make more stress, more problems for you. So if you are a young, person who still live at home with your parents, and if you were to go to them and confront them about the really, really terrible things they do to you, and the unequal way in which they treat you and your siblings, it might cause a problem where they want to kick you out. Then you have to use wisdom with that. But if you're an adult who is now like in bondage with a parent who constantly, play these mind games, those narcissistic parents who, they're not good to you. They've never been good to you. They don't love you, and they clearly show that. But yet they want to put you in a position where they have you as their bank account and your problem solver. You are their problem solver, and you can't even get to catch yourself. You can't even scratch your head, even though you have your own responsibility and now your own family. And the very ones who were so wicked to you, they're the ones now who are coming to make it seem like you're obligated to them. We're talking truth. I'm going live one day this week. I'll let you know when, because if people want to talk, if people want to share their experience, and at the end of the day, it's not so that we can hold on to it, it's so we can free ourselves. People, in the last 2 days, I started feeling free. All the emotions that I was bottling inside, I was letting them out and sharing stuff with my own family, some things that I never told my own children, never shared with my partner in all these years. But I'm telling you, sometimes the blinders are on and you don't see the thing. Or maybe subconsciously, but you're afraid, because if you face it and accept it, it's just too painful. I shared a story with you guys about my graduation from high school. How nobody came. Blood sister didn't come. Auntie didn't come. No one came to my graduation. And in the night when I was heading home by myself, some random guy who was just a family friend came, and when he heard that I was going home by myself, when I'd gone to my graduation by myself, he felt bad and came long after it was over and I was on my way home. You got these ones who want me to continue to lie to myself to say, yes, they loved me. Love me what? First of all, when I was a young girl growing up, I was very cute. This is one of the reasons why my ugly sisters hate me. And I don't mean to call them ugly in the physical sense, but in the way their spirit is. I was cute, had a lot of hair, a lot of red hair. They used to call me Goldilocks. And sometimes you got parents where they'll take care of you, because people give them compliment and say the kid is cute. But they don't like you otherwise. Sometimes the one that they love is dunce. You're smart. And they'll buy the books for the dunce one. Spend all their time and their attention pushing the one that they love. And the one that, have ability and is smart, they don't give you anything. But somehow, again, the universe has plans for all of us. And so when the spirits, are behind you and, put you in the hand of people who can show love to you and you prosper, these same ones now have these great expectation from you. Look at my daughter. Look at my son. And you no longer have a name, you know. Look at my lawyer daughter or my teacher son or my doctor, whomever. Yes, now you've gone out there and through the love of the Most High and through the kindness of strangers, you become something, and suddenly they claim you. But if you look closely at these ones, they don't love you now. You're thinking they love you. They don't. They still don't love you. They still don't like you. But because you wanted that love, you will take it anyhow you get it, and you take that kind of deep painful situation with you in your relationships. And so you want to be with a guy who doesn't want you or a girl who doesn't want you. It's like something about fighting for people's love become something that you become so good at. A lot of the problems we're having, if you look back, it starts from your childhood. Like someone said, a lot of rage, a lot of crazy things you see people do is because they're lacking something, oftentimes love, and they don't know how to love themselves. This is why I always say, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. It's okay, it's not selfish. And I always say no. It's okay to say no. When you say no to people and then they go away and they don't talk to you anymore, at least you get to understand that, okay, your love for me is conditional. Meanwhile, you want my love for you to be unconditional. The things that happen to us in our childhood and in our family sometimes is so hurtful that there's nothing anyone else can do in the world that could be more hateful. So when you see sometimes people talk about in our community about prejudice and racism and these things in the world, you have to say to yourself, for real? Like you're just going to pay attention to that. These are strangers. If they don't like you for whatever reason, that is nothing in comparison to the fact that you don't like your own offspring. You don't like your own blood relative. For me, everything I say about them is justified. And there's still no hate in my heart. Some people think that when you're telling the truth, it's hatred. No, there's no hate. Because hate would mean that if horrible things happen to them, I'll be happy about it. I mean, truthfully speaking, whatever happens in their future is no wish of mine, but I'm not going to be wasting my energy, being all depressed about them. I'm done feeling depressed about people who didn't care about me. Because I'm telling you, the last 6 weeks or so was a difficult one for me, but was for other reasons that were not obvious. Let's tell the truth. Let's continue to have this conversation. Remember, this year is supposed to be a year about, it's a relationship year, and we're talking about relationship with self, with other people, with spirit. So if you want more of these videos, let me know. And I'm relying on you to share your stories too, because they're very encouraging for me. I know some of them are very sad, but when I realize that I'm not the only one going through this, and that I have the courage to get up and speak on what a lot of persons don't want to speak about, especially Jamaica. Jamaican people will jump all over you when you're talking about your parents. And a lot of times they're such a hypocrite that they will tell people as soon as you get some, breakthrough, they'll tell you, oh, you're supposed to take care of your mother, take care of your father, mama and papa that dash you away and abandon you and don't like you. They'll come with their nonsense and pretend like they love their parent, like we're expected to love people who don't love us, expected to care for. You can do it because of the kindness of your heart, but nobody can force you. You're not obligated to nobody except yourself and the spirits that guide you and your children until they get to a certain age. And I would say the time we waste taking care of other adult people, at least spend that time caring for your own offspring and making a nest egg for them, because I didn't do that and I feel guilty about that a lot. I didn't make a nest egg for my kids. Stay blessed.